Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyat Ravitam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So last week, our dear Shisha realized the self. And his mind has been completely overwhelmed and stupefied by the experience. Shankara endeavors to express the inexpressible in beautiful poetry. So where are we this evening? What verse?
507.
You help us out, please.
Revar yatha karmani sakshi bhavo vahin vahner yatha daha niyam makatvam rajor yatharopi tatvastu sangha tathaiva kutastha chidatmano me. Just as the sun is the witness of all men's actions, just as fire burns everything without distinction, just as the rope is connected with a superimposition, so too am I, the unchangeable self, the essence of intelligence.
And here he's used this word from Gita, kutastha. So am I, this immovable, established, still witness of everything. The past is just a bunch of ideas. The future is just a bunch of ideas. The now, with its incredible intensity, all just a play of Maya. And I stand still, untouched by any. Next one. He did use kutastha, didn't he?
You did, yes.
Yeah.
कर्तापि वा कारयितापि नाहं भोक्तापि वा भोजयितापि नाहं दृष्टापि वा दर्शयितापि नाहं सोऽहं स्वयज्योतिरनिद्रिकात्मा. I am neither the doer nor do I make others do anything. I am neither the experiencer nor do I make others experience. I am neither the seer nor do I make others see. The self am I, self-luminous and transcendent.
So I do nothing and I do not cause anybody to do anything. Nobody can make you feel anything. But then you are not powerful enough to make anybody else feel anything. Each little bundle of body, mind, intellect has its own product. Person of wisdom simply stands back, compassionate, empathetic, yeah. But allows the world to be the world. I am not the doer. I am not the enjoyer. Unattached witness of it. Any thoughts on this? Next one.
चलत्युपाधौ प्रतिबिम्बलौक्यम् औपाधिकं मूढधियो नयन्ति स्वबिम्बभूतं रविवद्विनिष्क्रियं कर्तास्मि भोक्तास्मि हतोऽस्मि हेति. When the conditioning moves, fools attribute the resulting movement of the reflection to the object reflected, like the sun, which is devoid of activity, and they cry out, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am being killed, alas.
So we attribute the qualities of the not self to the self. The body moves, the mind feels, the intellect thinks. But if in the Vijnanamaya Kosha, in that Chidabhasa, I attribute those qualities to the self, and the fool thinks, I go here, I feel this, I think that, when in fact, I am sthita, still, immovable. And he's used these two words, pratibimba and bimba. Bimba is a mirror. Pratibimba is the reflection in the mirror. So if I go into the bathroom and I'm making faces at myself in the mirror is still and moving. I go away and Soundarya goes in, the mirror does not rejoice. Oh, thank God, a good looking gal is looking in the mirror now. The mirror simply is as the substrate. All the reflections, pratibimba. So also I am still and immovable. The whole world passes in front of me. I go nowhere. I do nothing. Any thoughts? Next one.
Jale vapi sthale vapi Pruthadvesha jadatmakaha Naham vilipyetat Naham vilipyetat dharme Ghata dharme na bhoyatha. When, whether in water or on land, let this inert body drop down. I am untouched by its properties like the sky is untouched by the properties of the jar.
So we have these ideas in traditional Hinduism that you want to, if possible, die in the first fortnight, the first 6 months of the year. You want to die next to Mother Ganga, be cremated there, etc., etc., etc. Here, Shankar is saying, nonsense. When you go to the barber shop or the beauty salon and get your hair cut, do you really care whether the barber or the beautician cleans up the hair with a vacuum cleaner or a broom? Whether it goes in the dustbin or that dustbin, you have no concern. So the person of wisdom is not worried about death. We have all these superstitions. Oh, Aunt Mary was just holding on. We kept trying to tell her, let go, dear, let go. And what that really is about is I am uncomfortable seeing what I think is the other person suffering. Prarabdha. Nobody stays a minute too late or leaves a minute too early. When the prarabdha is done, you're gone, dead. And for the person of wisdom, there's nothing left to impel the subtle body into another incarnation. It's the end of suffering. Now, in our desire, if we are attached to a subtle form of Swamiji, is there some subtle form of him on another plane, or with Shirdi Sai Baba or Jesus? I don't know. But I can tell you for the woman and the man of wisdom, they don't care. No more rules, no more good actions to accrue merit. Nothing more to be accomplished. Veda Anta, the end of knowledge. Some people say it's not about the end, it's the journey. That's nice. It gives people comfort. Yoga says, no, there is an end to suffering. Next verse.
Kartitva bhoktikva halatva matta jadatva badhatva vimuktatadaya uddhe vikalpa natu santi vastuta swasmin pare brahmani kevaletvaye. Doership, enjoyership, cunning, drunkenness, dullness, bondage, and freedom. These passing states of the intellect are in reality never in the self, which is the supreme Brahman, absolute and non-dual.
So, the person of steady wisdom is what I call out of control. No longer restraining her inherent tendencies. Get it all out. She has no concern about the opinions of other people. Don't try to be a spiritual person. It's very burdensome. Instead, know you are Brahman and have no concern for the equipment. Let it spin its product. Wasn't that nihilistic, Jim? I mean, shouldn't you have ambitions? I mean, what about meaningful relationships? Sorry. The person of steady wisdom is dead to all that. Nice. The equipment may act in the world. There's complete detachment. The outside, they may look like they're very motivated with a lot of purpose and stuff like that. God knows Swamiji was incredibly active right up to the end. He wrote 40 books, worked tirelessly, spoke for Rotary clubs, always traveling, answered every single letter written to him personally. Here are the days they were all handwritten. And he got so much mail, he'd hire a secretary and dictate. But no form letters, not a one. Other Mahatmas, fond of samadhi, too active particularly. There's no rule. There's no rule. Next one.
Santo vikara prakrite dashadha shatadha sahasradha vapi kimme sangha chitas tairna ghana kwajitambaram sprishati. Let there be modifications in Prakriti in 10, 100, or 1,000 ways. What have I, unattached knowledge absolute, got to do with them? The clouds can never touch the sky.
Yes. So, in terms of the equipment, depending on the force of its past, it will get its allotted dose of merit and demerit, success and failures, honor and dishonor. Let Prakriti have all the modifications it does. We were, I think, talking last week or the week before, about will the mind continue to react in some way? Who cares? have no relationship with the equipment. Just like the ordinary person has no real relationship to his shadow. Be at peace. Next one.
Avyakta स्थूलपर्यन्तमेतद् विश्वं यत्राभासमात्रं प्रतीतं व्योमं व्योमप्रख्यं सूक्ष्माध्यहीनं ब्रह्माद्वैतं यतदेवाः अस्मिन्. That in which the entire universe, from the unmanifest down to the gross, appear as but a shadow, which is like the sky, subtle and without beginning and end. Indeed, that non-dual Brahman I am.
So I'm working on second chapter of Mandukya Karika with a student. Essentially, Gaudapada says in the fourth Karika, phenomenal world is quite unreal, and the proof of its unreality is that you can see it. If it can be cognized, if it's in the world of objects, emotions, thoughts, past, present, or future, waking, dream, deep sleep state, if it can be objectively known, mithya, illusion, vaitatya, falseness, Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. Brings to mind one of Swamiji's favorite sayings: the way to heal the mind is to get out of the mind. Quit believing the mind. Instead, revel in the self. Next verse.
Sarvadharam, Sarvavastu Prakasham, Sarvakaram, Sarvagam, Sarvashunyam, Nityam Shuddham, Nishkalam Nirvikalpam, Brahmadvaitam Yatadeva Hasmin. That which is the support of all, which is the illuminator of all things, which is of all forms, which is omnipresent, devoid of multiplicity, eternal, pure, motionless, and absolute. Indeed, that non-dual Brahman am I.
Yeah. Vishuddham. Extremely pure, without any taint of any kind. The whole universe rises and falls, illumined by me, touched by me. I am never really touched by it. Next.
Yat pratyatashoy Shama ya vishesham pratyak rupam pratyakama manam satyajnanananta anandarupam brahma dvaitam yatadeva hasmin. That which transcends the endless differentiation of Maya, which is the subjective essence in all, which is beyond the range of consciousness, which is of the nature of truth, knowledge, and endless bliss. Indeed, that non dual Brahman am I.
Yes. So in the end, all of my ideas about truth, all of my insights about the nature of spiritual experience, all of my thoughts about the mind, etc., mithya. Just silly dreams. Only I. Next.
Nishkriyosma vikarosmin nishkalosmi nikarkritihi nirvikalposmin nityosmin nirambarosmin nirdvayaha. I am devoid of activity, modifications, parts, and forms. I am absolute and eternal, with no other support, and non-dual am I.
So again, this is not only the exclamation of the enlightened Shisha, but these are great meditation verses. Let them lift you up. Remember the truth. Remember what's true about you. Remember what's true about the world. You are ever untouched. You are changeless. No move, no form, no shape. And the source of all happiness. All I need to do is let go. Well, it isn't bad. It's not disgusting. Pretty. But shunyata, empty. You are purna, full being. Yes. Next one. Oh, excuse me.
Sarvat makoham sarvoham sarvatito hamadvayaha kevalakhandabodoham anandoham nirantaraha. I am the universal. I am all in all. I am transcendent. I am transcendent and non-dual. I am absolute, unbroken knowledge. I am bliss and eternal am I.
So remember, I am Atma. You're not a piece of Brahman. You're not a part of it. Yourself is the totality of Brahman. You are that one alone entity, Kevala, which the whole universe rises and falls. Fools me when consciousness peeps through a particular intellect, and I have the experience of limited vision and limited knowledge. I, Jim, see a different world than Saundarya. I know different things than she knows. But the self in me is not like the self in her. The self in me is the self in her. Next verse.
Swarajya Samrajya Vibhutiresha Bhavat Kripashrim Hima Prasadat Prapta Maya Shri Guruve Mahatmane Namo Namaste Stu Punar Namostu. By the supreme majesty of your grace, I have gained the grandeur of the sovereignty of self-effulgence. O noble teacher, salutations to thee again and again.
Yes. So he wraps up this section about his attempt to describe the experience of self-realization. Comes back into a bit of awareness of the phenomenal world. Oh, where a million miles away is my Guru. Thank you, Guruji. By your grace, my ignorance has been removed. Where did you go? Next verse.
Mahaswapne Maya Krita Jani Jara Mrityu Gahane Brahmanantam Krishayantam Bahulata Pratapai Ranunidam Ahamkara Vyaghra Vyasthiti Mama Matyanta Kripaya Prabodhya Prasvapat Parama Vitavan Mamasi Guru. Out of sheer grace, O teacher, you have awakened me from sleep and saved me, who was roaming in a never-ending dream in the forest of birth, decay, and death, created by illusion, and was tormented day after day by innumerable tribulations and greatly persecuted by the tiger of the ego.
Yes. So, for apparent lifetimes, I've had the very long, very vivid dream of Ahamkara. I think I'm a person. That's not enough. So I need people, places, things, and conditions, more, better, different. And I struggle. As Hamlet says, I grunt and sweat for a weary lifetime. And Then, by the grace of the Guru, some Guru, gone. I never was in the body. It's just a very long, very vivid dream. Weird. Let's see what happens next.
Namastasmai Sadaikasmai Kasmai Chenma Hase Namaha Jade Tadvishvarupena Rajate Guru Rajate. Salutations to you, O Prince among teachers, who are indefinable greatness, who are ever the same, who manifest as this entire universe. To you, my salutations.
So finally, Shankara or Shisha has found out who the Guru is. Not the person in the orange robes. The infinite self itself. Swamiji used to say that, find out who the Guru is. Here, Shishya acknowledges that he knows who the Guru is. It is the self itself. Physical external form is a temporary psychological device. Me stress, temporary. A good guru puts himself out of work. None of this long-term dependence business. That's silliness. Love of the Guru will always be there. Thank you, Guruji. I'm on my way now. That's the way it's supposed to be. Next verse.
Section 75. Final words of advice.
Ah, this is lovely. Again, more beautiful poetry. So this is the final words of advice from the Guru to the Shishya.
Iti nata bhava lokya shishyavaryam samadikatma sukham prabuddhatattvam pramudita hridaya sa dishekendra punari damaha vacha param mahatma. Seeing that the worthy student has gained the bliss of the Atman, is enlightened and is prostrating, the noble teacher, being glad at heart, again spoke these supreme words.
So, from the viewpoint of the Guru, we disciples have nothing the teacher wants. Doesn't want our attention, doesn't want our praise, doesn't want our flattery. But just like the midwife is filled with joy to be there at a successful delivery, so also the Guru is filled with gladness. And the light of truth is lit in another person's mind. Let's see what he says now.
Brahma pratyaya santir santatir jagado brahmaiva tat sarvatah pasyadyatma drisha prashantam manasa sarva swavasthash swapi रूपानन्द्य देवीक्षितं किमभित चक्षुष्मतां विद्यते तद्वद् ब्रह्मविद सत किमपरं बुद्धैर्विहारस्पदम्. An unbroken series of perceptions of Brahman is this universe. So in every respect, it is nothing but Brahman. In all conditions, see this with the vision of illumination and a serene mind. Is it ever possible that he who has eyes can see anything other than forms all around? So too, what is there to engage the intellect of a realized man save Brahma?
Yes. So here Shankara beautifully articulates what is this world. So read the first idea there.
An unbroken series of perceptions of Brahman is this universe.
Yeah. So it's all consciousness appearing as name and form. Constantly morphing, constantly changing, but always the only thing to be known is Brahman. Brahman never leaves its swabha, Satchidananda. So the Jivan Mukta remains serene, never disturbed by this unbroken succession. Name and form. You can withdraw from the world of name and form, you see, go to samadhi. But for most of us, mind returns, names and forms appearing. No problem. They're just consciousness appearing as name. The next idea.
So in every respect, it is nothing but Brahman.
Yes, going on.
In all conditions, see this with the vision of illumination and a serene mind.
Yes. So don't get worried about the world. Doesn't mean that the person of steady wisdom doesn't know what's going on. You can look at your stock portfolio. You can look at real estate values. You can look at whether or not you're going to get a green card. You can look at the politics of the nation or some other nation. But what do we know about the world of name and form? Anitya, non-eternal, impermanent. And it is not a part of consciousness. And if the self in you is never changed or destroyed, self in others is never changed or destroyed, no matter what they be. Watch the light show. And your own body, mind, intellect will dance its dance as part of the Leela, the divine play. Next verse.
There's one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more idea.
Is it ever possible that he who has eyes can see anything other than forms all around?
Yes. So this can be two ways. If you still have eyes in your head, you're going to see names and forms. And if you are consciousness itself, can you see anything but the play of consciousness? So the person of steady wisdom has no need to avoid the world. It is what it is. Next verse.
Sorry, last idea.
I'm sorry.
So too, what is there to engage the intellect of a realized man save Brahman?
So everything is God. Everything is about God. Everything points to God. Every experience is about God. All that engages the mind of the jiva. Now, that's it?
Yeah.
Now, next verse.
Kastam parananda rasanubhutim utsrajya shunyeshu rameta vidvan chandre mahalyadini dipyamane chitre dumaklokayatum ka icche. Which wise man would relinquish reveling in supreme bliss for the enjoyment of paltry things? When the greatly enchanting moon is shining, who would wish to gaze upon a painted moon?
Yes, beautiful poetry. So the language you've heard me use for many years, the world becomes trinkets and baubles. I tell people, I've always been a pig. I've always been a hedonist. Yet I live the life of a sannyasi at this point. The world just got too small. It's so little. It's so little. It's not bad. It's just little. And it's so much work to get a drop of pleasure for so little time. But Jivan Mukta doesn't control. But there's no longer, oh, I've got to have this. None of that's there anymore. Or someone's, you hurt my feelings. I'm not talking to you. I'm so sorry. Bye bye. worldly pleasures are like a thimble full of water poured into the ocean. Next verse.
असत् पदार्थानुभवेन किश्चित् न हस्यति न ह्यस्ति तृप्तिर्न च दुःखहानि तदद्वयानन्दरसानुभूत्या तृप्त सुखं तिष्ठ सदात्मनिष्ठया. In the perception of objects unreal, there is neither the slightest contentment nor the cessation of misery. Therefore, content in the realization of the essence of non-dual bliss, remain happy, ever identified with the self.
So the Jivan Mukta knows by bitter experience inevitable suffering of the life of a bhogi. More better, different, more better, different. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Doesn't mean she doesn't enjoy what comes. There's no grieving when it goes. And many yogis find their lives getting simpler and simpler. Not that there's any virtue in simplicity, some do not. Some still have very complicated lives. But the energy wears out. There's a lot more stillness, a lot more transparency to the mind. Next verse. What number are we on?
525.
Okay. And the total is how many we said? 550 something?
81.
581. Okay. We won't finish tonight, but probably next week.
Swameva sarvatha pashyan manyamana swayam dvayam swananda munabunjana kalanaya mahamate. O noble one, beholding the self, always contemplating upon the self which is non-dual and enjoying the bliss of the self, you should spend your time.
So here the Guru reminds the Shishya the seeker, the mumukshu, is seen to study scripture, to meditate, do spiritual practices, so that she can purify her mind and realize the self. But the person of steady wisdom may be seen to be doing the same things. It does not add to her knowledge of the self, but it's a way to remember one's self nature, to retire into the self, to revel in the beauty of the halls of Vedanta, to share this place. Other lovers of the infinite. They may be doing it because they enjoy it. On the other hand, they may stay home and watch tennis. Who's to say? Swami Tejo Mayananda used to talk about the 3 R's. In America, I don't know if they taught this in old-timey India, reading, writing, arithmetic. But spiritually, the 3 R's: renounce, realize, and revel. You find your way to revel in the South. Even though you may be a Vedantan, it may be singing the Lord's praises. It may be pravachana, sharing this work with others. It may be austere meditation, high in the Himalayas. It may be walking in nature. That was Swami Tapovana's favorite way to revel, to be in nature, adoring the beauty of God's creation. You find your way. No recipes. Any thoughts on this? Next one.
अखण्डबोधात्मनि निर्विकल्पे विकल्पनं व्योम्नि पुरप्रकल्पम् तद्वयानन्दमयात्मना सदा शान्तिन्न parametya bhajasva maunam. In the unbroken knowledge, the absolute, the Atman, dualistic conceptions are like castles in the air. Therefore, attaining supreme peace, live in silence, identifying yourself with the non-dual bliss absolute.
Yes. Swamaunam. Live in the silence of your own self-nature. So the surface part of the mind may engage in the world. The backside of the mind, Maunam side. Sometimes the Mahatma acts like a madman, wandering in the world with appears to be childlike silliness. Sometimes they're very focused on accomplishing some worldly task. Other times they move through society like ghosts, like nobody can see them. Sometimes they were incredibly still, like a giant snake after a big meal. But inside always, shunya. Next verse.
कृष्णीमवस्था परमोपशान्ति बुद्धेरसत्कल्पविकल्पहेतो ब्रह्मात्मना ब्रह्मविदो महात्मनो यत्राद्वयानन्दसुखं निरन्तरम्. The cause of all fancies, the mind, becomes perfectly serene to the sage who has known Brahman. Indeed, this is the state of quiescence in which, ever identified with Brahman, He constantly enjoys the non-dual bliss absolute.
Yes. And what's the secret to that? Remember the teeter-totter. The greater my attachment, the greater my identification, the more my control issues, ambition, raga, dvesha, the less my peace. More I let go, more I see the unreality of the world, more I understand the unreality of the mind itself. Supreme. The thunder of silence. Mauna Maruga. Silent. Next one.
Nasti nirvasana maunat param sukha kriduttamam Vijñātātma swarupasya swananda rasapayanaha. There is nothing more exhilarating than the quiescence which comes from being free of vasanas, to him who has known his own nature and who drinks the bliss of the self.
Yes. So, when the mind no longer extroverts, then reveling in the self is easy. This is why there's so much of an emphasis on annihilation of the vasanas. And we get, what was the term? Brahmananda Rasa Swad. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
The taste of the juice of the bliss of Brahman. Jim, I try to meditate, but my mind's just so busy. It's just so extroverted. It's so hard for me to get quiet. Yada, 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 yada. Sound familiar? Why? It's not about practicing gripping the mind into quiescence. We can do that. Attachment and identification. Mature vairagya. That's the key. Next one.
Gachan sthishtan nupavashcha yano vanyat thapiva yate chaya vase dvidvan atmarama sadamunihi. Whether going or staying, sitting or lying down, or in any other state, the enlightened sage whose sole pleasure is in the Atman lives ever at ease.
So he has this Atma Ramana. Ramanamati means to revel. Doesn't have to be sitting in meditation. Be anywhere at any time. That's how. No inside, no outside. All right, one more verse.
Deshakala sanadi gamadi lakshadhyapeksha pratibadha vritte संसिद्ध्य तत्त्वस्य महात्मनोऽस्ति swavedane niyamadhyavastha. The sage who has perfect realization of truth and whose mind therefore encounters no obstruction, no more relies upon conditions of place, time, posture, direction, moral discipline, objects of meditations, and so on. What formulae can there be for recognizing one's own self?
Yes. So again, no rules, no place, no name, no clothing, no job. What I think the Master Jesus meant when he said, "My kingdom is not of this world. I am in the world, but not of it." What do I do with my time? Be of service. Be of service. All right, we'll end here this evening. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.